Good morning. My name is Kurt Vandersher at Haworth, and I'm excited to welcome you to a Haworth NeoConnect session, the first of four. We're super excited to be with you today on this Monday. We would normally be in Chicago, but now we're virtual. And I'm streaming today from Haworth's headquarters, and we're so excited to have Patricia speak. So first off, if you get a chance, we do have the showroom that Patricia's going to talk about. It's live. It's a virtual showroom. So if you go to haworth.com/neocon, you can see our full showroom experience and see all the new products and see more about what Patricia's going to share. As always, in these Connect sessions, you should use Google Chrome for best browsing experiences. If you're having issues, close all open sessions and set your display settings to 300 because that will always make for a better experience. We are recording the session today, so if you want to share it or you missed part of it, you can hear the recording. Now I'd like to introduce a dear friend and a great colleague, Patricia Urquiola. She's a world-renowned architect and designer. She's designed things from china to silverware to glass to furniture to buildings to skyscrapers to cruise ships. She's an incredible person. Haworth's been working with her in her studio for 7 years. And we're so excited today because her and her team worked on the virtual NeoCon showroom. So with no further ado, Patricia, I welcome you. It's great to see you from Milan.
Sorry, hello? Hello, everybody?
Yeah, you're there now. You're good. You're good.
Sorry, you are listening to me now. Well, hello, everybody. Hello, Kurt. It's a special moment, no? Because I have in front of me the project that I should be seeing physically, no, these days, and the situation is different, but we are gonna try to find a way to go on to explain our projects and to go on with a good energy, no? I go on with the project. Is okay, Kurt? I can go with the images?
Yeah, perfect. Yes, let's go.
You see well? Is okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Well, just a second, please. Okay, yes. Okay, well, this is about the project we've done for NeoCon for the 2020, and it's a project that I always enjoy. There are a few years we are doing, and we always have this kind of main big space that we have to work on it and find always a solution that is in some way breaking kind of grid, no? That we always have a kind of first approach, understanding what we've done year by year, because for me it's been very important to create a kind of culture in a visible way or in a physical way too even. And the idea was always to create this grid of emotion, of thoughts, of ideas, one over the other one, and then to find always ways to break it each year to give a different narrative. And this year we had an argument that was very nice, and the argument was about the main concept was to create a kind of workspace or workplace that for us in this moment has evolved into a space of multifunctional experiences, high focus work settings and social behavior. Then to promote this new change that we think is important, we introduced a kind of new substructure that was the name was Pergola, that was acting as a hub of bridges that was creating a kind of gap between any open work zones and closed offices. Then the idea was to create this kind of spaces, named Pergola, that I'm going to show them in a second, and they were allowing the connection in between those different groups of situation of focus areas, meeting zones, or wellness retreats. No, it was, and for me, it was very important to incorporate nature as an important element to introduce always the new working environment. Then it's something that I remember a few years ago that friends were saying, "Oh, in NeoCon, oh, there is Urquiola with all the plants," no, and I was saying, "Well, okay, yes," and I think that became. I think I saw a lot of plants everywhere, and I think it's an argument that we always appreciate. Then those microambients, they help to this argument. You know, that is the space that we have normally in NeoCon, and it has an entrance, which are the blue dots. There's one important one and a secondary entrance. The first one goes focus immediately to the reception, but you see those microambients in green, black, gray, azzurro, light blue. They are positioned in the space. If you see them at the beginning, we were putting 5, 6, 4, 3. We decided for 4 at the end, as you see them in orange, and they connect all the spaces, and they create a kind of tension into this space, into the grid, and they create interconnection with focal spaces that for us they were always very important. That is the image that at certain moment in the year, in between my team and the team of NeoCon and the team of Haworth, we begin to cross over. No, those images change. You see this image that it was the definitively one, but we've done so many. You can't imagine how much we play with all those pieces and how we can create all the interconnections. No, in this image you have an overview. Then you don't focus on anything, but you understand a little bit the complexity and the human approach to all those spaces. No, for example, that is the reception, and that is the axonometry, and you have the entrance. But you see already with these blue arrows that there is the reception, which is in the center. Then we were putting the reception a little bit back this year and created a kind of an energy place with people that could sit and be in relation with them. We have the DRC in the back, which is always a space that we always wanted to create layers on it and make people believe on it. We open in the right side a much better space that we were increasing, we were changing, we were modifying with a very immense and important coffee or bar. And you see in the left two spaces, a little rectangular space, a blue rectangular space, and a circular one in the entrance, that they are the first modules of pergola, just to see. That is an image of the reception and one of the proposals we were doing. That was a possibility. It is a space. We were doing different ones. That is one of the possible reception area. That is the coffee area that became much bigger. Now we break all the dividers or the walls in the middle. Then finally, I begin to have a space that is seen from the corridor where is written the cafe area. You can see the windows at the end in the back. Then you can see the real natural light. That was something that I wanted from the beginning, and finally we are melting and we are doing a very big space, which can be seen from the entrance, from the inside, from the reception. Then you see the coffee bar, you see the place for sitting and having little conversations. You can have a space where you can see one of the products that this year we were introducing strongly, and was the Resonate lounge sofa, which is the modular orange piece that you see there, which is in pink in the back, very light pink color. And we were creating with them, this is a project very interesting that done by Gensler, and we were very happy to introduce it like a little module that is playful and is adaptive to the spaces. That is another point of view of the coffee. This coffee space is from the corridor side, where people cross over all the NeoCon connections. No, and then that will be in my mind, that should be in my mind, this idea of these virtual spaces that was with different ways of sitting and being in a kind of working in the cafe, having informal meetings, having relaxed postures, and having a kind of organic workspaces. No, I think that was more or less. Then it's nice that you see how you were seeing those images that they were moving through my studio and Haworth team, and which is at the end we are a not so big team, because we are a group of, so I would say 7-8 persons that we are in continuous connection through the drawings. They people from Haworth, from Holland, they come to Milano, we go to Holland, and we do a lot of crossovers, speaking about how to manage each year a new way to interconnect our pieces and our collection, always creating layers over layers over layers. My idea was always to not change each year completely the narrative, and to create a narrative that is always, there is something from the last years that you perceive in your idea of the conceptual spaces in the company, but at the same time you were always perceiving a new way of thinking this space. Here you can see there are 4 pergolas, which is nice, and then they are all different, smaller and larger. Here comunque is another view with the resonate sofa area in that space. Here we can see another image of, all those images. What I like is that then when I come in Chicago, we really get more or less what we are so focused on how to create these spaces that they really respond a lot of what we are searching. We move some things at the end, but we have a lot very clear in our mind. Here you can see in the right already a pergola space, which is the water pergola, which is started with the idea of a kind of multi-project team space, no? Then should be a kind of inside outside. It's a space that always divide, create another way of working, and it's a kind of sub-architecture that supports different functions and needs. That is the important thing to give to you, no? Shelters to access the resources many times, because sometimes you can have this space used in different ways. This is another point of view of the space where you are seeing another pergola, which is the balsam pergola. And this green space for me was very important because we were working a lot with the louvers and understanding how to divide, how to connect this space, dividing in different ways. And then you will see them by their own. Here's another point of view from our interconnected spaces in the Haworth space. And this is the normal. For a few years we are always creating a kind of wall of small offices area, and we change them. They are always different, but we change the walls, we change the spaces, we move things, but we play with them like and I like a lot because they always get a new way of proposing our products and our ideas. The Caban Island, that was a product from the last year that we reintroduced in another space from the NeoCon situation. We were this year focused in additioning Cocina Lounges when it's part of the pieces we are adding, and they are from Haworth collection. And this year we were focusing creating those spaces with special attention to Cocina Lounge. This was, for example, this is another part of the Cocina Lounge, introducing variants of pieces which were already iconic from the last year, but they are reproducing and introducing a new modular piece. For example, so we have the Cocina Mex with the sofa, the gray sofa, which is the Mex High, is a new variant of this piece. We are doing the Infinito wall, but is in some way wall mounted and is different way done. They are different pieces that they are all sampled, but it's not important. can explain to you. What is important to just to give the idea of this pergola project, this is one of the possibilities, which is round in the side and rectangular in the other side, has louvers, vertical louvers in the side, has wall-mounted panels in fabric, and have curtains, and even a planter. And then you can see, obviously, structure is done in aluminium. We worked with louvers in wood. We worked with louvers in aluminium too, playing in different ways. That was, for example, one of the first images of the pergola, and we were trying to understand how we live as an architecture inside another architecture. And those are little drawings that they fly through the Atlantic Sea, I think, strongly, because we were all the time understanding, for example, even the circular ones, little ones, could be divided in 3 spaces, could be only 1 space, could be small or could be larger circles. But those circles, they were very human spaces to understand. We were from the beginning trying to understand. We are sitting 4 people here, we can divide, here we are working in different ways, and we were all the time thinking, here you see them mostly with louvers, but they could be done only with curtains in a much simpler way. But we were giving a lot of different uses to those spaces, and that's a pergola with a rectangular place, with a big main room, with a little sitting room in the middle. Or this one is thought with a bigger sitting room, a little space in the middle green for someone who wants to be separate, has curtains, and a very open space at the angle with a kind of little desk and high seats. Then that was even other ideas. We were doing only part of the pergola, and the pergola could be like a big screen or very nice divider. Here, for example, the pergola in green will be even thought for using even in an outdoor space. It could be a kind of little kitchen or kitchenette that could be working and creating a space of gentleness to be, with a little coffee, a little kitchen in a kind of open space of work. The one in green under is divided in 3 little spaces, and each one is a place for working and doing micro meeting or micro ways of working. This one is a bit more bourgeois and it's created como a comfortable sitting room, and where you can speak and you can close the curtain and be in that blue space or in that other space with, I think, a kind of red energy. That was another one, just a rectangular one with wooden louvers, but with a space where you can work in a more 2 little space in the side, in the right side, where 2 micro meeting can happen, or micro meeting, and a kind of enlarged space to be in the other side. And in the middle, a crossover space that can be that you can sit and can do something in a kind of very simplified space. That was an image that we were enjoying those days, creating in the studio, just to give the idea of this energy that pergola, I think, is an airy freestanding structure where light and shadow can interplay, and the architectural is a kind of, for me, it was a kind of oasis. Man, for a long period we were calling it Oasis. That was our code name, and but it was for me a place to gather and refresh. Really, I think pergola was this kind of thought in our mind, and I think that's our idea. I always love this image of your fantastic Chicago and building, growing as we are trying to rebuild and grow our projects and ideas. Ciao. I can go out from this. Okay.
Is that the Hey, I'm back. That was great, Trish. That was a great tour of the showroom. And it's kind of hard to do it virtually, but I loved it. So people are asking questions about pergola. Is it acoustic, or how do you see pergola being used in kind of our new world for either more people or less people? Any thoughts about that?
Well, I think I think from the beginning, pergola is a system. Then it can be thought in many ways. Then can be perhaps if the problem is an acoustic divider or a kind of a place that can create a kind of can limitate those kind of problems, you can end it and finished in a way which is really defending the level of acoustics. But you can use it like a very open and open space that only is a kind of physical or mental divider of actions. I think the way we live in many spaces, obviously now we are in a moment we all are thinking about the completely level of privacy we have to get, but we have to look always far away. Then I think what is important in those kind of little architectures in architecture, inside the general landscape or the general architecture, they can give, they can enlighten, and they can give a kind of very airy new disposition. But what for me is important is not only giving a forced function to that space. We really can be your little kitchen because you like to give it and give it. You remember, for example, when we did the space of Haworth Showroom in New York, when I was visiting the space, and it was a fantastic main room and with lateral spaces for offices, but I needed to create two architectures inside the architecture to create the DRC and to create a coffee, because for me it was very important to then we were leaving your table and going through another meeting in another part or visit or someone coming to visit you, to have a space that you is an architecture. Then I like a lot this idea of giving many functions and forms to this space, really.
That's awesome. If you think about, we talked a lot of debate in the showroom design about the cafe, and you were such a big advocate, we need daylight. I think now that we've all been working at home, we crave daylight and outdoors. So speak a little bit more about the thinking behind the cafe and enlarging it and getting access to daylight and allowing different applications.
Well, I was already something I wanted to say in some way something which is important for me about pergola. Pergola for me has been a very interesting experiment because we did for many years a lot of experiments trying to get our point of view from Europe, mixing with the point of view from America, understanding many ways of behaviors from many point of view. But now we were engineers, the big team of research in the company in Holland, and us from here. Then Pergola obliged us to be even more in contact. And I think that was a very important thing, because we are always experimenting the team in more ways. For example, in the cafe, is a space that I know from 7 years. Then from the first year I wanted to cross over and see the river, and it was not possible because we know the way we can work, how complex is everything. And year by year we were getting a wall less, another one, curtain here, moving things, and finally we got it. And I'm very happy that the idea is always to think about that space you have, and that says hello to all the visitors. But for me, visitors are like people that became part of a club, or because they come back and say, but now they got, I don't want to think about people as consumers. I always think that people are visitors for me, are part of a kind of club. I like they come back and say, that's the chair is better because it's enlarged. They know we always try to implement the space. We are not only, doing a factor wow each year. No, my idea is always we use our money, our intention, our space to give something, to increment, to do better this space that we believe. And that I think the cafe now we got, I think finally the coffee I had in my mind for a few years. It's going to be in a space of multifunctional situations. Sorry.
Now we just need the barista, right?
Well, why not? We are very human in this moment, I think, all of us. Yeah. We knew how, my work is to be, to do project, no? To always be thinking things, and physically, my mind, the place exists. And bueno, there's gonna be, we are gonna do, that's gonna happen. It's a question of time and thoughts, but I think the important thing that in our mind, we got already those spaces and we make them real. Like, I think Pergola grow up with the thought of NeoCon. Then NeoCon in my mind exists because if there was no NeoCon, I will be not thinking so strongly how to put these spaces, how to create those inner spaces inside the main one, in a head of a architect and designer or architect. I think the space and exists always. Then just a bit of calm and we will arrive to everything, I think.
I love it. So
Yes.
We're getting a question about pergola, like the ability, you show different applications, but how can it divide the space? Or do you envision the louvers moving? Or we talked about draperies. Can you speak a little bit about how it divides space?
How the pergola in relation with the space has,
yes.
What I think is, I don't think those kind of spaces that a pergola can represent, like, is not only protecting you especially from everything, because I think for a long time there are different structures that we use with glass that we can even close, and the enclosed spaces that we used and we already have. I think pergola is more a space that create a determinate value in a part of the space, and then as you can arrive to it, and you know the shadows, the light, the materials, the color, they play a game all together. And that's for me sometimes a kind of approach from architecture and from design that get together. Then this time I think thinking about pergola, sometimes pergola can become quite big. But the good thing is that it can be 6 spaces inside, or 4, 2 of them micro, other ones they are enlarged ones. I think it's an instrument for architects and for clients and for all the people. I think will be working on thinking spaces in a quite open way. It's an instrument to work with, and to play with. Not,
awesome.
I don't want that is so defined, so defined in them. It's going to have very different, I think we are going to increase the functions, and it's going to be open to increase them, because it's already, the project is very open.
I love it. And I love the pink kind of salmony one that looks like maybe it's on Mars, maybe it's somewhere in the desert. I just am in love with the way that you created that inspiration.
Well, that was a funny image that I think in this moment with all our virtual friends and our artists, it is very nice to give them always the possibilities to create those atmospheres that are natural, but they are artificial, but they make us always be a bit more open, no?
Yeah, I want to take it up one level. One of the themes we had for this year was creativity and innovation, and we're getting questions about that and what's inspiring you in your studio, and how did you think about the space this year helping creativity and innovation?
Well, I think I think these arguments they flow through our work. Continues. They should flow through our work in a not so very defined way. I like the idea that perhaps many times you find that the best innovation you got in a project or in a situation was a little bit hidden in your mind, and you were pursuing, I don't know, fantastic things, and at the end we got something more from part of the project, or the way you put the things together, or from the atmosphere of the freedom you get, or the materials. They are at the end, we saw them, we didn't see them till the end because it was part of the project. And then what I want to say that is, for me, I think innovation is part of the result of everything. And sometimes you are so convinced that you are getting through something which is part of the project and is part of it, but sometimes comes from hidden things. And then what I think is, what I hope that our work inside Haworth, with outside Haworth, with all you can put all the conjunctions you want, is the important thing, that we are finding many ways to interact, to mix our cultures, to mix point of views different. I like a lot when I go in a meeting for Pergola, but we were speaking at the same time with the architects that were thinking the space of NeoCon, and the engineers were saying, you saw, Patrick, have new sneakers, because we do a lot of discussions in between us about our sneakers. It's an argument that I like a lot. What I think is we created a team which is enlarging always a relation. We are creating our culture. That is, I think, the most important element of the innovation for me. And perhaps you can see it through certain things, you can see it less from others, but this growing culture we are creating, that is the important thing for me. That is a real innovation.
I love it. That is a perfect kind of wrap to our session today. If you think about the space, there's many more things we were not able to talk about. Patricia, thank you so much for sharing your tour and the Pergola information. And I want to encourage the guests today, if you missed part of the session, we recorded it. You can go to Haworth Connect. Patricia gave us a great review of our showroom today, and we will be doing Connects every day. And this is just kind of a way to bring up different topics. So tomorrow's session on Tuesday will be same time, and it will be with Anders Brielle from Quadrat, and he is the CEO and owner. And we have a new partnership. Patricia talked a little bit about materials today, and you'll get a wonderful perspective about all the new materials coming with the partnership of Quadrat and Haworth. And then on Wednesday, we'll talk about digital knitting and the innovation there and where that's going with Haworth and some of our products. And then Thursday, we have our own Dr. DeGraff from the University of Michigan Business School, who's going to speak about creativity and innovation. And he's launching a new book this fall, so he's going to preview the book for us. And then lastly, I would say, in the vein of doing something fun, while we can't all be together, we normally had a fashionably early party, which we decided to hold off till this Thursday. But join us for our Fashionably Late. It's a complete social time. We'll be checking in with architects and designers around the world and just seeing what's inspiring them, what are they doing to for fun, maybe when they're not working, and to be social. And you can register at our site for that. So on behalf of Haworth, I'm excited that you could join us today. We thank Patricia and her team, and please stay connected with us.
The whole team this time.